All right. Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you. How's it going? My name's Danny Zaslavsky, and I'm really excited to get to be among these lions today. We're going to be talking about stocking and selling robust CPO inventory and really taking advantage of OEM programs. And so ASOTU's done a great job of bringing some really smart people up here on the stage. So let's start with short introductions, and I'm going to start with Hugh. Go ahead.
My name is Hugh Palmer. I am currently the Director of Pre-Owned Operations for Beaver Toyota. We have 3 locations. The one that I represent is the one in the Georgia market north of Atlanta.
And how long have you been there?
I've been with Beaver now for 2.5 years. I'm going into my 3rd year with them and been in the industry for 21 years.
That's awesome. Can you give just a few stats on how your store currently is stocked and performs?
Very heavily. We defy some of the conventional metric that we use for inventory. So if my NADA out there, please. But we run at about a 45-day supply of inventory. We are on a hard turn policy, but we elongate that, particularly on our core inventory that we use for CPO, so that we don't have to go out in the market and acquire it again for higher prices than what we already own it for. We're currently sitting at about 680 cars used in inventory. We stocked up this month because we're going after some numbers that were pretty robust. But we're on the acquisition side. We have a war room that's filled with 2 people that go out and buy 150 to 160 cars off the street using shameless plug here, VinQ, as our inventory management solution. And we also plug the holes with some of our purchases via auction and other avenues. Currently, we are the #1 retailing CPO store for Toyota dealers in the Southeast United States with SET. As of last month, we were #6 in the nation out of all Toyota stores in the country. #6, #7, we're tracking #7 this month. We actually certify all of our inventory according to Toyota standards, so we certify all of our off-brand vehicles as well, up to a 1 year or 12,000 mile warranty, and then we do the same 7/100 that the manufacturer offers on their car. So we have unique sales propositions in our CPO inventory for our customers. So any other information you want, just ask.
We'll dig in. Thank you. Igor, здравствуйте.
Hey, что има?
Where are you from?
Former Yugoslavia. Originally?
Ukraine. So I tested him on his Ukrainian, on his Russian, and he was able to respond.
I can understand a little bit, but Slavic language, of course. So coming from former Yugoslavia, I'm half Serbian, half Croatian. So if you follow tennis, Djokovic and I are like, ninth cousins. That's what I say. He probably doesn't know who the hell I am, but here I am. So my name is Igor Skinder. I work for Volkswagen of America. I had the CPO and the remarketing department for Volkswagen. I've been there for 7 years with the company. Prior to this role, I was at the Northeast region as the sales operations manager. And interesting things about me, before you start asking any questions, really, I do come from a long background of in the automotive industry, different areas. So I started off in retail as an independent and became a GM. That was through my college years. Dipped into real estate. 2008 happened. I said, screw it. We're going back to the car business. That's where the money is and everything else. So during that time, I took over York VW, which is about an hour from here in Pennsylvania. Ran that store for a while. It was the #1 CPO dealer in the Northeast region. After my retail days, as my friends like to say at headquarters, I'm the ex-convict of the retail hours. So I moved on to work for Odessa for 4 years and spent some good time learning that piece of the automotive industry. That was definitely a learning curve for me and a good experience. And finally landed where I am now at Volkswagen for about 7 years. I can't say that I don't love what I do. It's the car business, but between wholesale, retail, now on the OEM side, I feel like I have a really good broad experience of what I need to do my job and to do it well. Any questions?
We'll get to those.
Okay.
Rick.
I think all factory guys need to have worked in a retail store at some point. That would help us all
I would agree.
a bunch. My name is Rick Reichert. I'm a third generation dealer from Columbus, Ohio. Been in the business for 20 years. In 2000, for the purpose of this panel, 2012, I got the privilege of taking over what's called the used car factory, which is at our Mega Mall location, and grew that to, by 2015, we're selling about 800, 850 used a month. Because of the COVID pandemic, tougher to buy, we're averaging about 600 a month. We stock 850 to 900. And we do a blended CPO system. So we have 5 manufacturers on the campus, and we will run their CPO programs depending on what we need to satisfy them and the cars that make sense. And then for all the others, we run a third-party certification through the Motor Trend Certified Advantage, which is a easy care deal.
Very cool. So let's start first with talking a little bit about stocking. Igor, I'd like to actually start with you. So when you're working with your dealers, what do you find is a modern way of thinking when it comes to buying plans themselves? So
Last 3 years have been a complete nightmare when it comes to acquisition for a lot of dealers, right? And, we are fortunate enough at VW that in addition to the dedicated field team known as your new car reps or the fixed operations managers, we also have a field team that is dedicated to remarketing operations through a retail channel. So those guys and gals are all made up of former GMs from stores, retail stores. So to your point earlier, there is something to be said about that. You have to have lived through certain times of acquisitions and working at a store to truly understand what it means. So currently what we're doing and in advising our dealers is to really get into the data. And we have the data from the OEM perspective. We have 650 stores nationwide. So I can provide the data and I can provide what's selling in each market, and we leverage that. One of the best advices I could give anybody right now is figure out what is exactly selling in your market based on data in terms of used cars. Certify that car if that's your OEM, and make sure that you have at least a 45-day supply of that particular car, because that's your bread and butter. Everything else is going to become a headache, but the bread and butter cars are the ones you need to focus on for that 45-day supply. It's key to profitability, because those cars move quick enough to evade the ever never knowing what's happening in the wholesale market right now. As you know, it's very expensive to acquire these cars, but what we also see in the market right now is fluctuation. It's kind of like Bitcoin was for a while, and the Dogecoin. You didn't know what the car was worth this week or that week. It just goes up and down, and it's based on various factors, right? And we're in an all-time low in terms of what's coming back from lease maturities, and 2020 has a lot to do with that, as you know. So that 45-day is the key. Move that metal before it becomes obsolete on your lot.
Rick, do you lean on your OEMs for that data to serve your buying plan?
We look at all the data. The OEMs will provide data as far as what they see selling, what other CPO dealers are selling. I look at what sells in our market. We look at the green sheet data. We try to take a real close look to all that. I mean, data is absolutely king. Sourcing for us has been the auctions, like what Igor was talking about, that kind of going up and down, and the inconsistency. And we really, just like a lot of dealers, we got caught the past couple of years of trying to buy. We were purchasing about 400 cars a month, and we go back and look at those, and the auction purchases were kind of a net. I mean, we were making money on some, but we were losing money on the same, and as it was fluctuating, so we had to cut back the number from the auction, and we really took an effort to buy more off the street and go get to that customer before they could get to us, before they could get to the auction. yeah, knowing what to buy. And then you look at it too, pricing. So most people think of CPO, they think of 1-2 year old stuff that's over 40 grand or 50 grand. And the truth is it's really that, each one, like the 15 to 25, the 25 to 40, you got to have the right mix and variety in there also.
So dealers in the room, raise your hands. Okay, awesome. Now I know who I'm going to ask questions of. So I may come up to you and have you ask a question. So Hugh, same question kind of around buying plans. When you are looking for inventory, Rick, you said something that I think is really important. You took a measurement of your sources of acquisition and you figured out that auction was a net. I mean, that's like, pain pushes, vision pulls. That was a pain moment, and you figured that out and you found a different strategy to change behavior in the store. Hugh, are you guys, before we get into like actually certifying the vehicle, how are you identifying what vehicles to purchase that are certifiable that lead to better profitability?
We're doing very similar to what these gentlemen are talking about right now. We actually deploy some technology. We've recently enlisted Lot Pop, which is a tool that we've integrated within our vehicle maintenance system or inventory management system. That the premise is to look at your sale rate on a 2-week basis. So if you know what you're selling over the course of 2 weeks, you can pretty well predict what you should sell by the end of the month with some minor nuance. Obviously, the nuance is in the automotive industry, you typically do about 65% of the business that you expect to do in a month on the tail end. But you can get a good gauge of what you're tracking if you're looking at your 2-week sale rate. So in the tool, there's a predictor that not only predicts with a relative amount of accuracy how quickly a car will leave inventory and at what percentage of market that car will leave your inventory, but it also will tell you based on your sale rate and then pulling from your vehicle data as far as what you have in inventory, how many cars you have sold in a particular model and what you're trending and how many of those cars you need to be stocking in order to hit the number that you're trending. So if you've already sold 20 4Runners for the month and you have 10 4Runners in stock, but through 15 days sale rate, you sold 20 and you're tracking to sell 40, you need to go out and buy, or you should be in the process of buying an additional 10 4Runners because you only have 10, which is not enough to fulfill the track of 40 cars by the end of the month. So we use data, we use technology, we use different integrations in our system to create the buying plan for all of our cars. And then that's not just the ones that are certified, but obviously we want to appeal to our base and to our core. So we definitely deploy that technology on our core inventory as well.
Rick, are you buying cars within the service drive that are certifiable?
Everyone we can. Every car that goes through our service drive, we scan the VIN. We run it through the equity mining tool. We run it through Viato, and we're giving every customer an offer.
So tell me a little bit more about that process, because we know that certified vehicles bring more money. So how are you guys actually measuring that in order to create scalable process?
I mean, we measure it on the same report that we do. If we acquired a car from auction, it goes into a bucket on our report. We have a bucket if it's an off-the-street purchase, if it's a service-to-sales purchase. And I say service-to-sales because we use a sales team, and all of our sales departments have kind of a rotating schedule where a sales team will come in early and specifically just work the service drive. And we will pay a salesperson $150 if we buy the car. So it's not necessarily we're expecting them to sell a car every time. We want them to take the approach of, you have a very desirable car. We have people looking for this car. Most people in your position will do one of three things. They're either going to, upgrade it, and buy something else and trade it. They're going to do all the service work, or they're going to buy a service contract and keep it, or they're going to sell it. I guess that was 4, so we'll lump 2 of those together. So, and 9 times out of 10, they probably need to replace it. So they're going to end up buying something new, but we'll have those opportunities where somebody doesn't need the car anymore. They didn't realize it was still worth that much money, and they're offered either buy a service contract or sell us the car. And a a lot of times they'll just choose to let us buy it.
So Daniel, you've been growing the ability to buy from the service drive, right? You run a very successful Mercedes store on the fixed op side. Can you share some of the experiences that you're having, and then also ask a question to the panel?
It's something that we're always. I mean, my inventory manager is Tack right here, and he's the one that's been pioneering most of our efforts outside the dealership to get inventory, as well as speaking with clients in the dealership. Obviously, when you're talking to people at the store, you're getting different. It's changing now, right? Because it's not like it used to be, it was like a scratch off lottery ticket and everybody was a guaranteed winner for the last 2.5 years, right? And that's not necessarily like the case anymore. But, with technology that we can show, be it Hunter or something similar, where we can talk about what your cost of ownership would be and why this makes sense, it helps us. We're just fighting a different sort of economic battle in the service drive right now for us, and that's something that we continue to work on. But we're blessed with the fact that still over 65% of our ROs are generated on vehicles that are over 10 years old and over 70,000 miles. So that still presents the opportunity. In our brand, it doesn't so much present an opportunity for the vehicles that are in the last 3 years or something. And I mean, Hugh and Rick, you guys are like way too humble. I mean, in the fact you guys own the markets that you're in across. I mean, Rick's 8 brands plus motorcycles too, and Hugh with the amount of cars that you guys are selling. My thing is with CPO cars, for us, it's built into our margin structure with the manufacturer. This has always been every conversation I've ever had with Dale or anybody else. Like the manufacturers meddling in how CPO. In sense of, for us, we have to have a ratio of how many CPOs, how many off-lease vehicles we buy, how many we certify and sell certified. Just because you certified it but you wholesaled it doesn't count. There's a bunch of different rules and strings, and all of that then pulls at the heartstrings of new cars, which is then completely against everything you learn about strengthening your used car department and your service department, right? And sometimes, and Tack, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but when we pull what the manufacturer wants as the value for this vehicle, we are not, how shall I say this? We're not privy to the same dartboard and crystal ball that they have in the financial wing of things from the manufacturers that tell us how much we have to pay for a car in order to get it off lease to qualify for that, right? And obviously, if we can buy a car off lease and certify it and sell it, yes. Can it arguably bring more money? That's going to be dependent on your manufacturer and how strong your manufacturer certified program is. So I would ask you. I get Slava Ukraina, by the way. And did I say that right? No. Okay.
What's that?
Slava Ukraina. Is that what? I don't know. Mercedes.
I'm not Ukrainian.
Well,
but yes.
He said you were, so you might as well just take the title.
He is.
So yeah. All right. Well, to you too.
But either or.
We were told that's the thing to say. But what's the thing that you would look at your certified program? I mean, if you would be honest, right, and just between us, what would be the thing that in your certified program you think you're missing that would make you more competitive versus your competitive certified programs? Or is that something that you guys actually look at?
No, absolutely. So in terms of how we gauge where we are at within the market is first, when I first took over the role that I'm currently in, I wanted to know, I knew the program because I've been a part of it for such a long time, but I did not know all the other programs to heart. So the first steps to that were, hey, let's do a benchmarking study to figure out what other OEMs are doing, how our program compares to others, and what opportunities do we have as an OEM to strengthen our dealer network and increase the profitability. Because if you don't have a profitable dealer network, what are you doing? So in our particular case, without going into depth of each and every program and what everybody's doing, we took those studies and measured the opportunities that we have. One thing that we did learn is we do have a pretty strong warranty. It's a comprehensive warranty. Essentially, it is a bumper to bumper that extends for 2 years, 24,000 miles. So our strength was lying within that. But not every car that's in the market is created equal, right? There are different perceptions of different brands and what have you. So the reality between selling, for example, a Toyota versus a VW can be completely different. Two completely different customer bases, different loyalty strengths, what have you. But at the end of the day, what over the last 30 years Toyota has done really well is build that reputation of very reliable vehicles. So do you really need to certify it to make the customer believe that they need that warranty? German engineering, Mercedes and everybody else over-engineered sometimes in certain cases, and so things that tend to go differently. So for us, we rely on our warranty to just reassure the consumer that, hey, we believe in this car, therefore we're covering everything that's on this car for 2 years, 24,000 miles with the wrap. And yes, we are taking active measures to make sure that our OEM dealers across the nation are actually not just participating in the program because they have to, because they don't, it's completely voluntary, but 90% of them are. So I would guess that there's value in it. We do not tie it to the new car now.
So this is almost a follow-up question towards the end of what you just answered. I'm going to direct this to Rick first, but the other gentleman can chime in. Being a Hyundai dealer, we have this thing called the Dealer Performance Bonus Objective, and there's could be sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line each month. How have you found a balance, or we struggle with the balance of focusing on getting that number, but also having a robust CPO operation in the dealership when we're trying to hit this new car target. Any tips on finding a balance there?
Yeah, we're also Hyundai dealers. So actually, Hyundai right now has some really good incentives. Like if you have buy a used car that qualifies for CPO and put it in Hyundai loaner fleet, it waives all the CPO certification. So to look for those little, like there's certain nuances and I feel like that traditionally the luxury brands, Toyota, Honda, they've done a better job at marketing CPO. Domestics have been a little bit behind in some of the Asian brands, but but the time is now also because new car affordability has become such an issue that I think consumers really in the past couple of years have started to look at CPO a lot more, and they're looking for that. And when the third-party listing sites, when you go on the Auto Traders of the world and they have that CPO button to click now, there's more people clicking that, wanting to see what the CPOs are. So there's more advantage to doing the CPO programs, I think, than there was a few years ago. But you have to really understand the programs and know where those little nuances are, so you can waive a certification fee. So that you're putting the right car in the CPO program, because a used car that's not going to sell fast, non-CPO, isn't going to sell fast just because it's CPO. You're doing the program so in those first 3 weeks, you can catch the attention of a customer looking for CPO that understands the value and the warranty, and they're willing to pay a little bit more. And to me, it's really a gross play. It's not so much a volume play.
Hugh, do you agree with that? It's a gross play?
No, the growth is a factor. I don't think that it's that's the play. Like to answer your question, it's different on the Toyota side, or it has been over the course of the last few years now, because Toyota as a manufacturer has committed not to over wholesaling vehicles to their dealers, right? So currently in this, I may be speaking in terms that are an anomaly to what the business is for other manufacturers or OEMs at this point, but in the Southeast United States currently, Toyota is still wholesaling, or SET is still wholesaling 30 to 35,000 cars per month. They're still selling, at a large rate. However, in the Southeast, there isn't more than a 10-day supply of ground stock inventory at the dealers in the Southeast. So to answer your question directly, there really isn't any competition between our CPO inventory and what we have to do in order to be able to get our DPC, which is our Dealer Performance Challenge, or our Market Challenge dollars via whatever stair-step program you have at 100, 105, 110, 120% of objective, because we're hitting those numbers based on higher wholesale numbers without being flooded with inventory that competes against our used car inventory. In fact, it's the opposite. our stocking and our acquisition of vehicles is very heavy, and sometimes to my dismay, but very heavy in late model vehicles, 2022s and 2023s, so that I actually can have vehicles to present to customers that want vehicles that we are unable to deliver them in new cars. So the certification program at that point now is just a different close. It's a different spin to your customer. Hey, well, I want a brand new Sequoia. Well, yeah, good luck. Everybody wants a brand new Sequoia. Every employee that I have wants a brand new Sequoia. Like, it's not going to happen, but I'm out here buying them for 10 grand over sticker so that I can actually have them in the inventory, so that if you want to see what it looks like, if you want to drive it, if you want to experience it, I'm bearing the cost and the daily rate of having that spot and interest and floor plan, so that I can show it to you. And hey, if you want to buy it, I'll show it to you that my acquisition cost was this. I'm not selling it to you for more money, than what I acquired it for. I'm selling it to you for what the market said that car should sell for. But the CPO program in that instance becomes a plus, because that 1212 and that 100,000 mile warranty on a 250 mile 2023 Sequoia that I went out and bought just to have it now gives that customer a car with relatively no miles with a longer warranty than you would have if you ended up buying the brand new Sequoia that you can't get anyway. It makes sense. So it's a little different on the Toyota end, and will it shift? I hope not. I hope that they can continue, their production and allocation processes that they have right now in order to help the dealers control margins and profitability as best as they can. And then the dealer still has to do their part. When we get our allocations, we still pre-sell inventory. If I have a RAV4, if I have a Sienna, I'm going to pre-sell as many cars as I can, because I need to get rid of the new cars so that I can get back to selling these 600 used cars that I have, because we're a Toyota store, we're a used car store that has a Toyota logo on it. But just kidding. There's no manufacturers in here. Yeah.
A second what you just said also, this UAW strike that's going on, the happiest people are the used car managers of all the domestic stores right now, because they know that every used car on their lot's going to start going up in value as this new inventory starts to decline.
Just to add a little context to this, I encourage you, if you have a franchise store, to talk to your reps for one specific reason, and ask for the data and the numbers that show really CPO versus non-CPO. When you submit your financials to the OEM, as you're required to, as long as you're not faking it, obviously, but if the numbers are legit, it'll tell you exactly if you break it out in such ways. And we do that. So what we can tell confidently to our dealers and really show through data of their own financial statements that come to us every month is, if you are in the program, on average, you are going to make about a nickel more on the CPO than non-CPO. And when we say non-CPO, we look at the Volkswagen, not just, because off-brand will not at that point matter for that. Then what we look at too is we pull the ROs and we compare those to the non-CPOs, and the dealerships are making, or I should say, an average RO is about $600 higher on a CPO versus non. If you're a good dealer, you're retaining 70% of that. That's good. Goes to the bottom line. And to really kind of put a cap on it is we, as I mentioned earlier, we work on that 40. We have really tried to influence the dealers to focus on that 45 days of what's really moving in your market. So if your market is, say, not a Tiguan market, it's whatever it is, Jetta, like South Florida, Jetta's galore, no problem. Focus on that. Make sure you have a 45-day supply. What's cool about that, though, is when you back into it, when you start to build your pipeline, it almost works like a new car. In the new cars, you have a pipeline of cars that are coming in. You can plan for those that are going to hit the lot at a certain time. You can kind of work that similarly, just the Excel spreadsheet, January through December, and kind of work that the same way. What's in your pipeline, what's coming, your hot items, they're going to keep moving. They're going to keep you profitable. What's nice for me, from my seat where I sit, is I get to view your inventory. I pull that data and I can see slow, fast movers, and then I can help you with the slow movers, because when we subvent rates for special financing, we can attack your problem. So if you have that, somebody called them hemorrhoids, the cars that are paid in the what, you have to put something out there to make it attractive enough to just get it off the lot. So we do that in such a way that we strategize. If we know your car is moving mega fast and at the speed of light, I don't really need to subvent the rates for you to be able to move that car. But I might be able to help you from the OEM side through your captive, which in the long run is really good for a couple of things. One, profitability, and two, loyalty. So
Jason, you get to see a lot of this data, both on the predictor side of acquisition and then also on the sales side. Share some insights if you see a difference in obviously gross, churn, and so forth between the two.
Well, to me, it comes down to the store. I think committing to CPOs like committing to leases. I grew up in the car business in the late 90s. Ford sent in half a car program for our leases, and I learned it like the back of my hand, and I could sell a lease to this day. So our dealership kind of forced the buy-in on us. And I always talk to dealers, we tried CPO, it didn't work out. Well, you can't try CPO. You got to figure out your why, like you're mentioning earlier. But my question would be, because that's the difference on top performing dealers with both acquisition and selling CPOs, is the training. Both, I would guess, I would want to know on the dealers end, what do you guys do to get that commitment for your team to buy into CPO and why the benefits, and then what does Volkswagen maybe do to help supply training for the stores? Because I think that's crucial to any of this.
So we're set up a little different. Our used car department is separate from the new car department. And I say that because I think if we had a combined sales staff that was selling new and used together, that we could CPO more late model new and use them as switch vehicles off of the new. When we try to do that at the used car factory, they're coming in on a certain car and we're trying to switch them to something that's a lot more expensive. And that's why the past couple of years that I mentioned, I think the marketing and the consumer awareness around where the benefit of buying a CPO almost outweighs the new, because now that we're starting to see that when the customers come in asking about the CPO, now we can A/B the CPO that they already see the value in compared to the car without the certification, and it dramatically helps the sale, helps the car sell faster.
For us, we kind of took like a holistic approach to the way that we train and develop our sales staff to be able to sell these cars. We're averaging about 210 to 220 CPO Toyotas every month, but we're selling 350 to 400 used cars. So what we decided to do was we just CPO'd everything. So we enlisted a company by the name of Trusted Sale. They help us create digital MPIs. We have digital inspections. We have things that have QR codes and tags on our cars. You can walk up to a car, pull up a QR code, and actually see the reconditioning that was done on the vehicle as a part of the inspection process. And what was critical for us enlisting Trusted Sale to be able to do what we're doing was we didn't want there to be any differentiation between the certification process or program parameters for Toyota and the CPO process or parameters for all of the other brands that we carried. So Toyota's program is very specific, as I'm sure as every OEM's program. You have to be under 6 years, under 84,999 miles, whatever the case may be, up to 85,000 miles. You get a 12-month, 12,000-mile warranty. You can't have certain door dings or things bigger than a quarter size, or tires have to match. You have to have 2 keys, so on and so forth. So we just mirrored the Toyota program and said, okay, we're going to write a service policy or a certification policy for every car and every manufacturer that we cover, so that as a unique sales proposition to our sales staff, every used car that a customer in our market wants to buy will be certified and will have that same type of warranty that's going to protect them at any ASE repair facility in the country. So we just took a different approach and said, okay, instead of trying to teach our team how to sell certified cars as opposed to non-certified cars, let's go and just drive more of the market to our store by certifying everything and offering them something that they wouldn't be able to get from another dealership down the street. Sometimes we're able to certify cars that even the OEM that sells that car as their core can't certify. because that car has coverage like anything that's over 85,000 miles. We'll still certify up to 175,000 miles on our silver program. That just gets the 1212 as opposed to the 7100 on the back end, which is what you want. I mean, if you're a customer that's buying a 150,000 mile car, how many dealers can say that they're giving their customer a platinum 12-month, 12,000 mile warranty to cover them? Some may, most don't. So it really sells itself, and the training really comes in getting them to remind the customer about the sales propositions that we offer. Because sometimes you take it for granted and you just go out there and say you're just selling cars. No, we're different, and you need to let our clients know why we're different.
And the phrase that Dale Pollock coined was documentation before negotiation.
Yes.
And that's part of our training, our sales process. So when someone comes into the used car factory, we've got a card in the back pocket of every salesperson. We go over the features and benefits of our program before they even select a vehicle. And then before they go on the test drive, we go and grab the deal jacket or print off the digital of everything you talked about, the vehicle history, the inspection, the recon report, and you sit down and you show that to all of them in front of time. And we started that really because if a car had a minor accident on the auto check or Carfax, we want to be able to overcome that objection early. Like let them know that this, the Carfax says this, but we inspected it. The car's up to manufacturer standards. They understand that before they agree to even go and test drive the car. So we put that in part of the process and the training, and I think that's really critical because because the whole time they're on the test drive, they're thinking about negotiating. How much off this price can I ask and things like that. When you keep building value in that car, even before it gets time to write up the deal, it removes all of those objections.
In my case, it's a little bit different, considering that we create the training and the program through the Academy at Volkswagen with the 90% engagement and participation of our CPO program nationwide. In order to collect any sales consultant, manager, you name it, bonuses and things that generally OEMs put out, you have to be fully certified in everything, and that includes CPO training as well. We clearly know what the benefit of it is, and that's the gospel that we preach in the program and beyond. And we really we don't run into many issues in any of our stores where, say, they're selecting what's certified and not. They're either in or you're out, and we're fortunate enough to see that vast majority is in. So
one of the things I didn't hear anybody say yet is about the propensity of CPO programs to generate loyalty, and either to then push them and to guide them into a new car purchase, being more likely to then get into the brand from a new car perspective because of the loyalty that they got from experiencing the brand from a CPO perspective. And I can't believe I would ever push back on anything that Hugh says.
Go ahead.
If you're certifying off brands, right? I mean, and I'm automatically suspicious of anything that's a platinum out of nowhere, right? But like, if you're certifying cars that aren't Toyota, are you not then diluting your chance at then bringing people into, like, one of the benefits of certified is that somebody comes into the brand and gets to experience the brand and all the trappings of the dealership and the brand and everything in a certified car, and then they're more likely then to stay with the brand with their next purchase. I understand it varies between brand if they're more likely to purchase another certified car or a new car, right? And then, so that, again, can't believe I'm pushing back on anything you said, but, and then, when you're done with that, then Igor, I also wanted to know, when you're mentioning the roundabout statistic of dealerships doing CPO cars are benefiting from additional $500 on that. I've been in the car business for a long time. There's like most of my phone list, I can't even call to do anything if it's only $500. So congratulations for having a dealer network that'll do that. But my question to you is, do you separate that by source? If they have to buy a car from you off lease, are they still making $500, or is that an average across all of them? And would you then admit at what price point are they actually getting it from you if their profit is the same at $500? But I'll let Hugh answer first so you can.
How many questions was in that one question?
It's really one. It's really one. It's just one.
So let me see if I can take this in order. Number one, we didn't talk about the retention piece because you didn't ask yet. So now that you posed the question, I'm sure we'll put it on the table. And number two, I welcome the pushback because you're brilliant, and iron sharpens iron. So I love the question, and I hope that this doesn't sound cocky or conceited when I say this. But the reality is that the CPO program, the way that we have created in our store, wasn't meant to dilute our brand. Our brand or our brand loyalty, but to be very candid and be very honest, we're more concerned with dealer loyalty than we are with brand loyalty. All right, so thank you. But ultimately, I'm just being candid. The reality is that the dealer, in a lot of cases, takes the onus of the facility, takes the onus of the tier 2, tier 3 advertising, takes the onus of all of the customer complaints, even for things that happen to the car in the manufacturing process that we can't even control. But we are the representation of the brand to the customer when they're there, and we love our OEMs. We have to. That's the bread and butter, and we represent the brand. But the dealership is what provides the life that we live. It's the dealership that feeds us. It's the people that work for us, with us, that we're responsible for taking care of. So the unique sales propositions that we create isn't to dilute the brand. It's to make sure that we keep those customers that we've already earned their business once loyal to us. Right. And if they're loyal to us, if there's a Toyota that they want to switch to after we pull them out of their CPO Cadillac, their CPO Hyundai, their CPO Mercedes, or any other vehicle, then we'll go down that road, when we get them back. But we're going to keep the customer coming back to Beaver Toyota. And that's our stance. Toyota is our primary manufacturer. Yeah. Did that answer your question? I don't want to leave you. Okay.
I'll answer one of the 18 questions then. I got it. Nope, it's an average that's pulled out from the entire dealer network from all the financials, but at the end of the day, that does not include F&I, that does not include other pieces. So. Does that $500 part they're purchasing from VCI, does that raise or lower the $500? 99% of our vehicles are purchased currently from VCI off lease and absorbed by the dealers. So 99% upstream are purchased? Yes, everything that's 1% makes it to, you could call it virtual lane at this point because it's not a real lane. It doesn't make it. It's a 4 iteration to get to the lane. But and if it's in the lane, you probably don't want the car. But certainly, with COVID has changed a lot of things for a lot of people. We know that, and one of the things that has changed for us is when you look at where the market value versus residual value sits, it's still very, very lucrative for the dealer just to ground that car and purchase it, pay it off at an RV, whatever, however they structured the deal, and we're out of that picture for the moment. But in terms of loyalty, really particularly, one thing that I took a look at, wanted to see really who's our customer, where are they coming from, and are they our previous customer, new customer? And OEMs do spend some money with JD Power Associates and others who do research for us, and one of the great opportunities and things to hold on to is over 60% of our customers on CPO and VW are actually new customers to the brand. And then we are hyper-focused on creating programs and reasons why you should stay with the brand, to the tune of that 30-some% of them return to buy a new car from us. And I think that's crucial in today's day and age when the customers are all over the place just looking for a car in some instances. And that could affect the dealers negatively. I love the fact, you're working on your dealership loyalty, and that's how it should be for everyone, really. And that will positively affect Toyota and any OEM that you're a part of. But on the same token, today's world that we live in, the digital, transparent world, if you're not on it in every aspect, loyalty is a fluctuating thing right now. I mean, defection rates are real, and sometimes they just need to buy the car today. And if it's not on your lot, it's not on your lot. And but our job is to come up with things that will influence the dealers to grow that piece of the business.
And let's not forget the profitability to the dealer. I mean, that's something that we also didn't mention. The very premise that a vehicle has a very stringent 160-point inspection that has to be completed in order for that car to bear a certified seal means that your internal numbers in service will be benefited from the additional parts, from the additional labor hours that you're going to generate, from the additional recon dollars that are going to be done on a vehicle that's going to be certified as opposed to one that is not. And I'm not a general manager, but I live by a few two-word phrases, and one of them is as if. You know, you have to act as if you're in the role that you want to be in if you ever expect to be eligible for that role. You know, I was a general manager for Volkswagen for 4 years before taking over the used car operation at Beaver Toyota. And what I understand is that even though there's two people in a store that traditionally get paid on net profit, which is your dealer principal and your general manager, that your job is to make sure that that net profit is as robust as possible, because those are the people that are going to care for you and going to give you the opportunity to grow. We certify everything. Why? Because in service, you typically retain 70 to 75% more of what's generated back there than what's done on the front of the house. So we're putting ourselves in a position to have unique sales propositions, which is a second answer to Daniel's question. What facilitates that dealer loyalty is that the other unique sales proposition is the lifetime oil changes that we offer, the lifetime car washes that we offer on all cars. So not only are we certifying everything, but we're tying them back to our store, and our TLE scores on the new car side, you know, are as robust as our retention of our used car customers. But it's also a net profit play. You know, you put yourself in a position where the dealership can be healthy because you're only paying out a portion of what you're getting in service relative to what it's costing you to sell that car on the front side with your expenses. So when you look at it from that perspective, I can't see any reason why you wouldn't. Customers get value, salespeople have a product that is easier to sell, have unique sales propositions, and the store becomes healthier as a result.
Okay, so as a final order of business, would you guys stand up for me? Take a few steps forward over here. Can we give these guys a huge round of applause?
I thought he was going to make us do something.
Right, you got nervous, didn't you? Thank you guys very much. We're just slightly over time, but thank you guys very, very much for doing this.